Let's take a quick rundown of what Kronos has to offer. Looking at his major god bonuses, first of all, the big unique thing, the big draw to Kronos for a lot of people is the time shifting ability. This means that he can rush super effectively, and especially when paired with the buildings being constructed 25% faster per nearby manor, and the additional free myth unit when you advance to the next stage. This means that his early game has some extremely nice synergy to it, and then the last bonus that he's got is the Lost Siege and Myth units return 20% of their resource cost. This means that if you have a unit composition where you utilize Myth units and Siege weapons, that's going to be an amazing synergy for Kronos. And luckily, you look at the Cairo Baluster, for example, it's a super expensive unit, so getting 20% of that resource cost back when it dies, it's going to be very beneficial to Kronos. Something interesting about it is that if you use Valor on a Cairo Baluster, that when that hero Cairo Baluster dies, you're gonna get not just the 20% of that initial Cairo Baluster cost back, but also the cost that it requires to heroize a Cairo Baluster. So when a hero Cairo Baluster dies, you're gonna get something ridiculous like I think 80 resources back or something like that. So much of the cost for a hero Cairo Baluster is actually gained back when it dies. Really cool synergy. I think overall Kronos is probably the god with the best synergies in the game. Everything he's got just seems to go hand in hand with something. There's so many synergies that you can play around with. So let's look at his minor god choices here. He's got Prometheus and Leto in the classical age. I think Prometheus is a god of choice in 9 out of 10 games. Prometheus just better than Automata, I think. And Valor is just a very useful god power. Plus, Theftifier can really boost your economy, and the Heart of the Titans is a nice mid to late game tech to have. When you do want to consider Leto, I think it's largely due to this technology, Volcanic Forge. This gives your Automata as well as all your human soldiers minus 15% vulnerability to pierce attacks. So if you're versus someone like Hades or maybe even Chinese, who rely heavily on archers, maybe you can get this upgrade and that's going to make your life so much easier. And what's really cool about it is you can pair it up with Rhea, with the Orichalca Mail, and that's going to make your infantry minus 15% vulnerable to hack attacks as well as pierce attacks. So your infantry is going to be chunky. And once again, cool synergy here, right? So I skipped ahead here. In the heroic age, Rhea or Hyperion, I think both of these choices are really good. I personally like Rhea a lot, especially if I have an advantage over my opponent. I think that's probably, if there's a definitive answer, who do I choose, Rhea or Hyperion? I'd say if you're ahead, if you think you can get damage dealt with your 2 behemoths, definitely go for Rhea. And if you're maybe it's a bit more of a close game, I think Hyperion is the better choice because Chaos is such a it can turn a losing battle into a winning battle, whereas Traitor can kind of do the same, but not nearly to the same degree that Hyperion can. Also, when considering Rhea, you gotta ask yourself, do I need the really good infantry? Also the access to fanatics. So if you're versus Norse, for example, I think this is really, really good. Getting access to the really good infantry with that lesser vulnerability to hack attacks. What else is there to say? Yeah, Hyperion mostly picked, I think, for the Chaos. Really good when recast as well. So if you already have like 6 oracles out on the map and you're accumulating a lot of favor, you can go for Hyperion. You can recast Chaos for some, yeah, once again, winning battles that you shouldn't be winning otherwise. Mythic Age, very, very easy. You want to go, you want to go Atlas all the time. I hate to say it, but Helios is just not viable. Mostly because Vortex, all it does is it transports your units from one place to the other. You compare that to Implode, the sheer value that Implode gives you in destroying an enemy army, it can give you like 5,000 resources worth of value compared to Vortex, and it just transports your units. It's just not enough. So also Atlas gives you more infantry technologies. So if you've already invested into Leto, Rhea, and then on top of it you add in Atlas with these 2 upgrades, you're gonna have some extremely good infantry. The Helios techs benefits your siege weapons, which is nice. The Centimanes are kind of decent myth units, but it's not that great. Mirror Towers, kind of cheap actually, so maybe they're cute to play around with. You can do this if you want to be a hipster. Go ahead and pick Helios, but if you want to win games, I recommend Atlas. So for the different matchup for Kronos, in this video I'll be showing you 3 different strategies, probably as the title suggests, but shortly I'll go over which I prefer against the different matchups. Against Chinese, never go for the 330, because they can defend against it so easily. It's just not worth it. So either go 355 or a 2 TC Boom. And versus Zeus and Hades, I highly recommend 2 TC Boom. So good against those 2 gods. And versus Poseidon, I think you have to go for the 355, because Poseidon will be able to punish your 2 TC Boom. Yeah. Egyptians, a bit more versatile in your options. You can honestly go for all 3 strategies that I showcase in this video. You can deal damage with a 330 rush. You can perfectly fine go for a 1 TC play with Promethean spam, for example. And 2 TC Boom is very good against Egyptians too. So it's a fun matchup. Kronos versus Egyptian, very fun matchup. Versus Norse, I think there's no doubt about it. Versus Norse, you go 330, balls to the wall aggression. Norse cannot deal with this, and you're gonna find some extremely easy wins. If you're versus Norse with a forward gold mine and you do a 330 rush, you're gonna win 9 out of 10 times, unless you screw up really badly. Versus Atlanteans, I think 355 1 TC play or 2 TC Boom are the best options. If you go for a 330 rush, you're gonna get denied by the Caladria, so that's just not worth it. And versus Kronos, versus another Kronos, yeah, 355 1 TC or a 2 TC play. I think it depends on the map. If you can get a really nice second TC that secures a lot of resources, I think that's going to be super beneficial to you. But if you cannot find such a TC, probably 1 TC play is better. Alright, I'm going to show you now the 330 build order. Alright, let's look at the 330 rush from Kronos. We're playing on Steppe. This is a super aggressive map, and our opponent is Loki. So this is a perfect map and a perfect matchup to showcase the 330 rush. We're doing versus Legendary, by the way. I don't even know if this works versus Legendary AI, but we'll see. First off, we want to send 2 citizens to hunt. Make sure to use your town center to help out as well. We're just sending oracles in all 3 directions, left, right, and center. And then our 3rd citizen is going on to gold. And try to, if you can, build a manor in between the town center and the gold mine. You'll see soon why. Our 4th citizen will go to a straggler tree nearby another food source. And once again, you'll see why very shortly. When the manor is finished, we quickly garrison into it and then we garrison out. If you don't have a hotkey set up for it, the on garrison, I definitely recommend that you get one. When we do our scouting, I like to send my oracles to the edge of their current radius. So that's 2 on food, 1 on gold, 1 on wood. We're gonna now send 2 additional citizens on to food. And when you have aggressive hunt like this, I like to prepare the 2nd piece of meat while this other one is getting depleted. Playing the K gauge as Atlantean, it's all about min-maxing. Oh, and another thing, it's not quite yet. When this straggler tree gets to 129 wood, we don't need any more wood. So that's, this guy will be transferred from this wood now over to the berries. Can be hunt as well, but we'll do berries right here. And now we've got 4 over here. This guy has been transferred over onto food. Meaning we'll start sending citizens over to gold now instead. When you can, we build a temple. Like that. Once again, quickly on garrison to save walking time. And of course we get as many goats as possible here. Should also say, when we're after this citizen, we want to advance. The distribution that we're going for is 3 on food, 3 on wood, 2 on gold. So these 2 will be our gold miners, and then we'll just need to find a nice wood location for this guy. Guess we'll go here. You see, the wood situation is perfect. We got all the wood that we needed. Now we go to the next stage. This guy can go on wood, and this guy can go on wood. 3 on food, 3 on wood, 2 on gold. Perfect. We are looking for our opponent's gold mine now, but so far, unfortunately, haven't been able to find it. You generally want to try to use time shift on your temple on top of your enemy's gold mine, but maybe it's just really good for our opponent this game. When we get a new citizen out here, he's going to go on food as well. And actually, we should also build a second manor here, because it's going to speed up the building of our counter barracks. And every little second matters when you're rushing. Keep that in mind. Every second matters. There's the gold mine. So we're sending... Actually, pause the game here. Lots of stuff to do. As soon as you advance, you need to build a 3rd Promethean. So we'll do that. And you need to valorize a citizen over here. So we'll do that. And then we build a counter barracks. And we're going to send these guys raiding. And dude, you can completely just ignore town center fire here. Also, you notice I go for immediate alluvial clay after that first Promethean that I built here. So I'm gonna have 3 Prometheans in total, then adding alluvial clay. You're gonna lose these Prometheans quite early because you're diving town center, right? So if possible, you want to get 3 baby Prometheans rather than 2. And this one is now ready to be time shifted. Do it right there on top of the other thing. Our opponent is completely in shambles right now, unable to even get the temple up. And another quick little tip I didn't even tell you here. When you build these counter barracks, I like to put this on control group 3. You can do whatever control group you like, which means that all the action is over here. I'm busy raiding, I'm microing, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I can just use control group 3. And then I also have a hotkey for time shifting. For me, it's B. And I just do this. I don't have to look back into my base. It's very, very nice that I don't have to do that. First of all, you want to be making Cairo ballistas. That's your main priority early on. And we are prioritizing goal control as of right now. But obviously, if you can hit hunters like this, you also go for that. But the big thing is, we don't want our opponent to be able to mine gold. We have 4 on food. We now we sent a new citizen onto wood. And just take it as it comes here. It's going to be quite difficult. We can send a 5th onto wood, honestly. Just having our army right here, ensuring that they cannot go on gold, they cannot go on hunt, whatever it is they're doing up here. And now with 5 on wood, 2 on gold, we're going to be low on gold very soon. So the new citizens will be going on gold. Meanwhile, these guys, we're going to right click there, shift click over onto the deer. And we're just making Prometheans and Cairo ballistas. We're versus Norse, remember. They're gonna have a lot of infantry. And we can, yeah. We don't have to fear raiding cavalry just yet, but very soon we will. So let's actually start adding in catapulties as well. And we're just sitting on the gold mine here. Even though we're not achieving much by the looks of it, in reality we actually are. Because he's not getting any gold, he's not getting any resources whatsoever. And see how I'm floating so much wood. So this is just what happens when you're microing and doing other things. Don't be afraid to readjust your economy as you go along. What I did here was I placed my oracles on secondary gold mines. I want to know if he's on this gold, and this gold. So I have an oracle here as well. I'll place him there. But you see the strength of this strategy. It's really, really crazy. Norse just cannot deal with it. All of his economy is idle because he has nowhere to go. I have such a superior army over him that he's just being strangled off of resources. And this is the unit comp you want to go for. Chiroballistas, Catapultes, Prometheans. These things are so good against infantry. And they're only vulnerable to raiding cavalry, so that's why we're building Catapultes, to defend these guys. And then Prometheans are just good overall tanky units. Seems like we're running a bit short on food, so let's start pumping out units here. But yeah, this game is over. For some reason, he's not re-signing. It is what it is. We can go for the town center. You can get these upgrades as well if you like. Alright, I think you got it. That's a 330 rush. Super effective strategy, especially versus Norse. So next, I think we're going to showcase the 355. Alright, the 355. In this scenario, we're playing on Blue Lagoon. We're versus Poseidon. And I think Poseidon is one of the gods where you have to go for a 355 1 TC standard play. So let's showcase this right here. 355 standard play. It's generally what you want to do if you want to have all options open to you. You don't know if you don't know what your opponent is up to, but you want to be able to quickly react properly based on what you're seeing. So Poseidon is a perfect example for why you need a 355 standard build order. Poseidon can advance at 315 and harass you with Atalanta and Poseidon and Centaurs. And versus that, if you go for a 330 rush, that's just going to mean that your rush is going to fail completely. And if you're going for a 2 TC boom, that means that 2 TC boom is going to get denied and you're going to lose the game in 4 minutes. So the start, very similar to what we did in the 330 rush. 2 on food, 1 on gold, 1 on wood. And we're just gonna send some more over onto food. What we can do actually, we find this really nice spot over here. I'm actually going to send my food gatherers over there now. Try to get rid of this first in the AK gauge so that I don't have to move outside my base later on. This is very unlikely to be spotted by your opponent. You gotta be careful though, if you're versus Poseidon, for example, who goes really early for early aggression. If you send out citizens over here, there's a good chance that they're just going to get pushed off of that spot really early and then pushed back. But here, since I've got this nice back hunt, I feel quite confident in sending my citizens over here. And now let's just start sending this guy over here. Can already now get a temple, so let's do that. This time around we don't bother swapping our wood chopper. He can stay on wood. Because this is not as clutch a build order as the last one, so we can afford to over chop on wood. It's always nice to just keep him on wood then, because I'm gonna need that wood later on. But we'll go on to gold now. The idea with this build is you want to accumulate as many resources as possible so that we're ready to build a second TC if needed. Or we can build some early counter barracks if that's what we need. We want to be versatile. We want to be able to react to what our opponent is doing. So we're going to need 3 on gold for this one. Go Lido. Alright, so let's swap our units around now this time. 3 on gold, and we're gonna take 2 of these guys and we're gonna put them over onto wood. So that's 3 on food, 3 on wood, 3 on gold. You know, that's the name, that's what I told you. I wanted versatility, and 3-3-3 is about as versatile as it gets. And we can even add in some additional oracles here. It's always really good to add in additional oracles, because that means that you can start spamming Prometheans if you want to do that. Or you have excess favor for when you hit heroic gauge, and then you can recast chaos, for example. Favor is just generally really good to have in bank. We're not rushing this time, so the temple, we're not gonna bother time shifting it to our opponent's base. We're just going to place it here so that it forms some kind of defensive barrier. Probably should have built a second manor sooner than this, but we kind of forgot. It is what it is. Now we'll build counter barracks and counter barracks. Could also be military barracks, we're just doing it like this. And what we do at this stage, it all depends on what the game looks like. So if they're going for a 2 TC boom, this guy will know it. This guy, probably I should have had vision over this, but either way, you want to sniff out what your opponent is doing and then react accordingly. If the Poseidon player is going aggressive with horses, then you want to be making catapulties, right? So if they're making catapulties, you don't need 3 on wood. You're probably only gonna need 1 or 2. So let's just say that the Poseidon player is spamming Hippias at us, and we want to make a ton of catapulties. What do? Well, we'll take these 2, we'll kill this giraffe, and they go on to food. And now we can really start queuing these things. We'll add even more citizens onto food. And you see, even though we are producing citizens that cost a lot of food, we still have lots of resources for the catapulties now. You're gonna need so much food when you're spamming catapulties from 2 barracks while producing villagers, though. So you cannot continuously produce them if you also want to make villagers. It should always be your main priority to have your TC busy, and then producing units should be secondary. Probably gonna need some heroes as well, so let's make some heroes here. And now, just to show you what I'm kind of talking about here, my opponent sees me going heavy on catapulties. They start adding in toxotes. Well, what do we do then? We swap these guys from food over onto wood. This guy even, and this guy goes here. Now we've got 3 on food. That's enough to sustain citizen production. And instead of making catapulties, now we're making termas. So this is the benefit of playing Atlantean, is it's really easy to swap your citizens around like this. So when you have so many good counter units, good against horses, good against archers, good against infantry, you gotta be able to do this quickly. Rotate your economy around based on what units you need. And again, just to show you guys, say they're building a lot of infantry now. Okay, we stop Therma production. Now we're going to go into Kyra Ballistas instead, like that. And probably we have too many on food here, to be honest, so Kyra Ballistas cost a lot of wood and gold for that matter. Could even be that this guy should go on gold. I need manners as well. Ah, poor Kataskopos. There we go. That's the 355. And like I said, versatility is the name of the game when you're doing this build here. You also see that we've accumulated a lot of favor now, so, you know, if you're versus an Egyptian player and they don't have any priests in their army, you can quickly, something really cute you can do actually is you can build a second temple. And then from here we'll get both of these upgrades. Probably get a lot more on gold here actually. Defend ourselves here. We've got 2 temples now, so we can make a lot of these robots. Oops, not that one. So yeah, we accumulated all of that favor, and now we have 9 on gold. You see, 9 on gold is not even enough. We're floating wood now, because we're just spending so much gold, it's crazy. Maybe get a grander economic guild is good. These robots cost 90 gold and only 6 favor, so you can get so many of them out. They train relatively fast, 10 seconds. Let's get a ton of them. So you see the transition that you make here from a pure human units army to an army consisting of so many robots. You can really surprise your opponent if you do this. And we only have 5 oracles. It's not like we invested a ton into getting to this stage. All we did was build 2 additional oracles and a second temple. And yo, before you know it, here we have 10, 12, we're gonna reach like 16 robots in record time. Yeah, this is a menacing army. And look at it, 11 villagers on gold, and it's not enough. So I actually surprised myself here a bit. I'm not even ready for the amount of gold that we needed for this transition. Okay, finally it does seem like we've run out of favor. So maybe now is a good time to get this upgrade, which gives us extra favor. And probably some additional oracles too. Look at that. 17 robots. All of a sudden we have 17 robots in our army. And that's going to be extremely difficult to deal with. Your opponent is going to need so many priests, so many hersers, so many pioneers, whatever it is, to ever deal with this army. And, yep. Not gonna bother finishing this game. You should play with this yourself. The 1 TC 355 is so cool, I think. And it just allows you to play versatile, which is good against someone like Poseidon. Okay, here we are on Alfheim. We're gonna go against Nuwa. Nuwa love to go 2 TC boom, and Alfheim is a super defensive map. Accordingly, we are going to match that defensive playstyle, but we're going to try to do it even better than Nuwa. So this will be the 2 TC boom build order and playstyle. I'm going to showcase right here. So the build order is very, once again, quite similar to what we've done before. If you want to, I don't know, probably not a good idea to skip ahead. We're doing 2 on food, we're going 1 on gold. And we'll do the same manor trick as we did before. Build the manor in between the TC and the gold mine. Now we're gonna send the citizen over onto wood. This does differ slightly from the other 355 build. We are going for 355 advance once more, but later on, a minute or two from now, it's going to differ slightly. Of course, the scouting pattern remains about the same. I like to just go in every direction, try to cover as much of the map as we can possibly do. So when we're doing a 2 TC boom, we wanna, of course, advance at 355, but after that, we don't need much more food. Once we've advanced, our main priority will be to get resources for our second TC. This also means that when you're doing the scouting here, we gotta look out for which town center do we actually want to go for. Here's one. It's not the best TC because there's only berries nearby and wood as well, of course. So let's see what our third settlement looks like. Once again, we got 4 on food. Now we start sending them over onto gold instead. So we can either choose this TC or this TC. We'll continue scouting, see which one we like better. We're just spamming citizens onto gold at this stage. Can almost advance here, but we're not gonna do it because we're going 355, and that means that we're gonna have a slightly better eco than if we go 330. And we're gonna 355 is the perfect timing when you're doing a 2 TC boom. There we can advance. As soon as we can advance, we now swap our villagers around. So we have 4 on wood, 4 on gold, 1 on food. 1 on food is all we need. And let's just say, I think actually this town center up here looks good. So we're gonna build a second manor. Oh, and also, should have done this sooner actually. Kind of forgot. The temple can be time shifted here. We can try to apply some pressure with our initial 2 Prometheans that we're gonna get. Try to get as much value out of them as we can. And we built 2 manors, of course. Gonna start to send these 2 guys up there. Now we have all the gold that we need. And this one too. And now we can get this TC in no time. Go aggressive with these 2, trying to find value whichever way you can. And probably time to swap these wood choppers around. Because we're about to get 2 town centers really fast. So we need a lot of food at this stage. And like I said, if actually this was a real game, these 2 would have found our opponent building a second TC. And there was a real chance that they could find some good value here. Use Valor again on this. It's actually, this probably would be a good game to go for Theft of Fire on. So we're valorizing our citizens anyways. Why not get Theft of Fire, right? It's a great town center that we got ourselves here. There's hunt there, there's hunt there, gold mine here, and even berries up there. Get our temple back, don't need that anymore. And just continue using Valor on our citizens. These dogs are attacking you now. I don't know if I like that change, but... Oh my god, look at that! They're packing a punch. So let's just say this is a super slow game. You can afford to get these upgrades here too. Look at that. Really good use of Valor when you can get a citizen back to full HP, of course. And my villager distribution, you'll notice 11 on food, 2 on wood, 2 on gold. Very, very food centric. But that's needed because we're producing citizens from 2 town centers. Probably overdoing it a bit here. 12 on food is good for now. But, you know, if it is a super defensive game that we're engaged in here, why not just go straight heroic from here, right? That's what we're trying to do now. Actually, remember to keep using Valor. We do have that Theft of Fire. AI is being a bit funny here. Whenever you can, build your buildings around your manors, because this will build so much quicker than if you build it not near the manors. Basically 50% faster, right? Generally, around your second TC, you can build a lot of those buildings here, right? Let's go for Hyperion here. That's gonna be like an 830 heroic age with such a sick economy here. We've got the Theft of Fire, we've got the hand axe and the pickaxe, but our second TC, our economy is rolling. We'll just make a bunch of military barracks. Around now is the time when you want to swap your villas around again. The berry pickers, they can go onto wood. When we hit heroic age, let's just say that we want to go heavy on cavalry. Be when you're versus China, a good chance that they go really heavy on archers. So if you can surprise them by getting a ton of cavalry out, I think it'd be really effective. So once again, if we need that cavalry that costs a lot of food, not a lot of wood, a decent amount of gold, what we do then is we say, all right, you guys go back on food actually. And we're gonna need some manors. We can build that here. Get this upgrade. Spam out these Contarius. Only have 2 on wood. That's all we need, because all we need is Contarius, right? Actually, some of these gold miners could be going on food. Continue using Valor. Probably get some armory upgrades too. And what's really nice about this kind of playstyle where you build so many of one unit here is that I don't have to invest into other upgrades than for the Contarius here in the beginning. I probably do wanna, like, my opponent is going to counter with Halberdiers, Hoplites, Berserks, Herdmen, whatever it is. So pretty soon I'm gonna have to invest into Arcus. So around that time, I will be swapping these guys back over onto wood, right? Gonna need a lot of wood. Now we want to make Arcus. Alright, there we go. Hopefully at this stage you can overwhelm your opponent with the superior economy. You did the really fast 2 TC boom, you got the Theft of Fire going, and you've utilized your building construction bonus, you've utilized everything that Kronos gives you, and in theory this should be enough for you to really overtake your opponent. There we go. That's a Kronos 2 TC build. Super strong. Probably, I think, the strongest general build that you can do as Kronos is this one. And if you're feeling unsure what to do, probably go for this one most of the time. Obviously, unless you're versus something like a Poseidon that can effectively rush you, then you don't want to do it. But the good general is build order that we did right here.